of patterns of biodiversity as I told you yesterday that the distribution of species is not uniform throughout. Somewhere the biodiversity is more, somewhere it is less. The distribution is not uniform, is very uneven. There is uneven distribution of plants and animals or life forms. Uneven distribution of life forms is there. Now, there are various patterns of the biodiversity on the basis of their distribution is formed. The first which we are going to discuss today is latitudinal gradient. The latitudinal gradient, which is a pattern of biodiversity, latitudinal gradient. We are going to discuss it today. Now, in this respect, what we will discuss is if we see the globe, this is equator, this is equator, then we have here the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, not too far, very near to the equator. And this region forms the tropical region. And then further from here to here, the temperate. This is polar region, and this region we include in temperate region. Now, if we see here, the biodiversity, the types of organisms, the diversity is very rich in tropical region as compared to the temperate region. Why is it so? Or what are the example which tells that the biodiversity is not rich in temperate region, it is rich in the areas which is near the equator? Why this species richness of the life forms is seen in the tropical area, and why not in temperate area? This is another question which arises. Now here, if we see, there are examples. Now, the example which is given in your, first of all, I'll tell you about the latitudinal range. The latitudinal range is from, this latitudinal range is from 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degree south. This is the latitudinal range. And in this range, the species diversity is very rich. Now, in the NCERT book, an example has been given to show that the species richness is more near the equator as compared to the regions which are away from the equator. The example which is given in your book goes like this. There they have told about the country Colombia, India, then New York, and the fourth one, Greenland. They have considered these 4 countries. Now, the Colombia, this country is near equator. This is located near equator. That is, it is in the tropical region. India is also tropical region. New York is about 41 degree north. It is 41 degree north, and Greenland is about 71 degree north. So this is the location of all these countries. Now, when we see these countries and we refer to the species of birds which have been found or which have been located in these sites are There are 1,400 species of birds found here. 1,400 species of birds. About 1,200 species of birds in India. Then about in 105 species. 105 species of birds here. And in case of this Greenland, the number of species of birds which are found in this area are only 56. 56 species of birds have been found in the area Greenland. These data are given in your NCERT book. You can go through it. So Colombia, which is located more near the equator than India, it has 1400 species. Now you can see the places which are located near the equator, they have more, they are very rich in their diversity. See the rich biodiversity you can see. Here also 1200 species of birds can be seen. But as you start moving away from the equator, the number of the species richness decreases. That means when we talk of equator, near equator or at equator or near equator, the species richness increases. Increases. Whereas if we go away from the equator, the species richness decrease. So that's why you in Greenland, if you see, which is 71 degrees north, only 56 species of birds have been identified, have been seen, have been located, whereas you see the others. Now here, they have given one more example has been given in your book, that is about the Amazonian rainforest, which is in South America. The second example which is given here in your book is Amazonian rainforest. So the example Amazonian, the location of this is South America. This region is also known as lungs of the earth because of its immense number of plants, vegetation, which is found in this area. This is also known as the lungs of the earth. This is the place of the greatest biodiversity on the earth. Maximum biodiversity on earth is seen at Amazonian rainforest. This is seen at Amazonian rainforest. Now, if you see what it keeps in it, what is kept, what different types of organisms you can find in this area is 40,000 species of plants. I'll just speak it out. 40,000 species of plants, 3,000 species of fishes, 1,300 species of birds, 427 species of mammals, 427 of amphibians, 378 of reptiles, and more than 1,25,000 invertebrates. So see the species richness and how the species they dwell here, survives here because of its climate, because of its availability of sunlight and all. So this area is said to be the maximum biodiversity, which carries the maximum biodiversity on the earth. Now, children, are there some reason that the tropical areas, tropical regions, they have more biodiversity as compared to the temperate regions? So reasons for uh, more biodiversity of tropical areas as compared to temperate areas. As I told you that the tropical regions, they show more biodiversity as compared to the temperate region. Now, what can be the reasons for the tropical areas showing more rich biodiversity as compared to temperate region? Number one, the first reason for this is speciation. The first reason is speciation. Speciation. Speciation is formation of new species. This is formation of new species. Now, when will the new species will be formed? The new species are formed in a stable environment, in a stable, area, in a stable place, when a certain region is undisturbed for millions of years. So the tropical region, their new species were formed because the tropical region was undisturbed for million of years. And because it was undisturbed for million of years, their new species, they originated, they came into existence because this region was undisturbed for millions of years as compared to the temperate region. The temperate region, it has lots of disturbance in its region because of, say, weather conditions, because of other environmental factors, and because of that disturbance, the speciation could not take place in temperate region, and that is why the biodiversity richness is not seen in temperate region as compared to the tropical region. We come to the second point. The second point which is there is tropical environment. About, we can say that, environmental disturbances. The tropical environment, if we say tropical environment, it is more predictable. And seasonal, we can, seasonal, see there the variation of temperature is not much. It is within a small, range. See the temperature fluctuations. Temperature fluctuation is within a within a small range. We cannot say very small, within a small range. That means it's not that the temperature sometimes it will be minus 51 or minus 70. It won't be like this. If it is temperate, a tropical region, then the climate can be predicted fine. After summers there will be rains where the temperature will range from this to this. After rain there will be winters when the temperature will range from this to this. And the fluctuation is not much, it is within a small range, and within that small range the temperature fluctuates, which doesn't harm the diversity which is there in that region. Whereas in comparison to this, the temperate regions, there the temperature, there the environmental conditions were not predictable. These were not predictable. The temperature fluctuation is within a wide range. That means sometimes the temperature which is experienced is minus 51 degrees centigrade, sometimes minus 70 degrees centigrade. There is a wide fluctuation in the temperature range. I mean, the temperature fluctuation is not within a small range. It, the fluctuation was within a wide range. So this low temperature, sometimes the temperature used to be very, very low, and this low temperature doesn't support life forms. So in this variation in the temperature, because of this big variation of the temperature, the life forms were not supported. When the life forms will not be supported, then what happens? When the life forms are not supported, that means diversity will not be there. The richness of diversity is not seen. Not only richness, the life forms are difficult to see. So that is why this was the second reason, because the climatic changes were not predictable, and there was the range in the temperature fluctuation was not within a small range, but was within a wide range. Sometimes the temperature used to fall and come it has to be it was sometimes minus 51, minus 70. So this change in temperature did not support life forms. As a result, the biodiversity is not seen in temperate regions. Till here, is it understood, beta? Any query in whatever I have taught you till now? Yes, yes, I want your response. Yes, bache, any query in it, or is it clear till here? Okay, so I'm getting answer no from one of the students. Okay, it's clear to Gunjan Paras. Okay. Now, beta, the third reason. So the first, the okay, the three, the I have till now I have given you two reasons, that the reason for the species richness, the biodiversity richness in the tropical region is this. The number one I gave you, the point was speciation, that means new species were formed because the tropical region was undisturbed for millions of years, and it resulted in the origination of new species, which resulted in the species diversity. Second was environmental disturbances. Environmental disturbances were less in tropical region. Environmental disturbances were less in tropical region, but they were more in temperate region. As a result, this uh, excessive environmental disturbances in temperate region did not support life forms. As a result, species richness, biodiversity richness is not seen in temperate region. Whereas because the climatic conditions were predictable, there were seasonal changes, the temperature fluctuation was within a very small range. So this supported the life forms, and we see species richness, biodiversity richness in the area which is tropical region. The third reason for species richness or biodiversity richness in the area was the sunlight. Sunlight. In the tropical region, and in temperate region, there is difference in the availability of sunlight. Availability of sunlight was better here. Was better, and throughout the year. So this again supported the life forms, and we find species richness, but it was not here. The sunlight was not available, and for a long period of time, the sunlight is not available in this region. So this did not support life forms, and the species richness is not seen in this region, which is temperate region. So there are three reasons for which we can say that which did not support life forms in the temperate region. That was number one, that speciation was not seen, new species did not originate, environmental disturbances were more, so that also did not support life forms. And the third one is availability of sunlight was also less, which did not support life forms. So species richness is not seen in temperate, rather it is seen in tropical region. The second point, which I'll consider now, it is species area relationship. So the second point which we are going to consider now is species area relationship. What is the relation between the presence of species in a certain area? Now, there was a scientist, a researcher, a German naturalist, and a geographer. His name was Alexander von Humboldt. Alexander von Humboldt. Excuse me. He was a German naturalist and researcher, a geographer also. He studied geography and nature. So he was the one who he explored the jungles of South America, and on the basis of that he gave some conclusion. And that conclusion was species richness increases with the increasing area, with the increase of area. He gave this conclusion: species richness increases with the increased area. Then he further added, but only up to a limit. But only up to a limit. And that means, like, if you start looking from a park, see, you see a park, in park so many species are found. Further, then you increase the area, that means then you see in your colony, then further you see in your sector, then you see what type of species richness is there in the complete city. After a certain time, that you will find that it is, those are the same species which are available even if you increase the area. Same type of species are there. So this is what he wanted to say, that species richness increases with the increased area, but only up to a certain, up to a limit. After that, the species richness is not there. Those are the same species which are seen in a bigger area. Only up to a certain area you will find there is species richness. But when you increase the area, only up to a certain limit the species richness will increase, and then you will find the same type of flora and fauna in the bigger area also. So even if the area is explored much, after a certain limit, the species richness does not increase, it remains the same. To explain this, he gave a graph, and the graph is like this. Here species richness, and here area. Now, when he made a graph on the basis of species richness and area, it came to be a rectangular hyperbola. So when he made the graph, it came to be a rectangular hyperbola, something like this. After a certain limit, the species richness does not increase, rather it remains the same. After a certain limit, it increases when you explore the area. Okay, see, when the area is explored, the species richness increases, but after a certain time it's constant, because how many new species will one find? There is, you know, a certain amount of species which is there in a particular area. So the to a certain extent, when you increase the area, the richness of the species increase, and then it's the same. There is no increase in the species richness when you explore more area. So when he made a graph on the basis of species richness to area, it came to be a rectangular hyperbola. But when he interpreted this graph using logarithm, he got a straight line. When he interpreted the same graph using logarithm, he got a straight line, and which was represented by this formula: log s is equal to log c plus z log a. It was represented by this equation: log s is equal to log c plus z log a, where s is the species richness, s is species richness, a is area, z is slope of the line, z is slope of the line, and c is y-intercept. C is y-intercept. So this, when he interpreted the same hyperbola, the results which he got from the above one, he got a straight line, and this straight line has this equation: log s is equal to log c plus z log a, where s is the species richness, a is the area, z is the slope of the line, and c is the y-intercept. Now, by this, what he means? What is the value of z? What is this slope means? This slope means that if there is another slope which we get like this, or one slope which we get like this, that means the species richness, this slope, in this slope is less, low species richness, as compared to z of this. This is high species richness. This was what shown by Alexander von Humboldt by this graph. Now, beta, what is the importance of species diversity to the ecosystem? Is this diversity, biodiversity, or species diversity important to the ecosystem? You think it is important? There was another researcher, his name was David Tillman. David Tillman, he gave another observation based on his experiments, researches, based on his traveling. These ecological people, they travel more rather than experimenting in the labs. They don't experiment in the labs, they just travel from one place to another, and they gave their conclusions based on their traveling and observation. So there was another researcher, his name was David Tillman. He gave a hypothesis. According to him, plots with more species showed less year-to-year variation in total biomass. What he said was plots with more species showed less